boyfriend has stopped being romantic completely. So, my boyfriend M18 has stopped being romantic to me, F18, completely. We got together sometime in early July, but we had started hanging out in May. We hit it off really well and soon we started hanging out every day. It was really nice, as I haven't been in many relationships, not to mention good ones. He was very sweet, complimented me without being prompted or asked, and never talked to me like I was stupid, which is really important to me. It was like he was genuinely interested in me, my family liked him, and it felt like we both genuinely liked each other. The issue of college comes in. As this was during the summer, we could hang out all the time, but we both knew he'd be leaving for school. While this was sad, it was only a few-hour drive back and forth, and it was a drive that I was willing to make to see him, and one he seemed fine in making, too. I knew things would change, as he would be busy, and I was willing to accept that. It would be unfair of me to demand his attention all the time. Since leaving for school, I began to see things change. They were the expected things. He was stressed out more and busy and overall not as romantic, which was fine. I expected that and knew there would be days or even weeks where he'd be distant. He still made the effort to talk, which I always appreciated because it let me know he was important. He complimented me when I sent him photos and we still flirted back and forth. I still complimented him and let him knew I missed him and was thinking of him. I could see a slight decline in him wanting to flirt and such, so I backed off as to not be overwhelming for him. He caught COVID from school and had to come back home. Obviously we couldn't see each other, as I didn't have a way to quarantine away from family in case he was still contagious. It was probably a few weeks into the school year. It sucked, but I thought we could always see each other another weekend. That hasn't happened. It's been about 2 months and he's completely stopped acting like we're dating. He's been in town a few times and hasn't seen me. I accepted this as him being busy, but it's a little disheartening when I offer to take off work to go up and see him and he ignores my attempts and nothing ever goes through. I still compliment him. I listen to him talk about his hobbies and ask questions about them since I know that's important to him, and he's been stressed out with school, so I try to support him and let him know I'm here for him if he needs anything. But he doesn't compliment me anymore. I've started working out, and while I was already skinny and physically ideal by most standards, I didn't feel attractive before. He's made no supportive comments about it, or comments about it at all, and when I mentioned my workout routine, he says I should push myself more / when I send him photos of myself or outfits he just goes nice and that's it. Can only think of one time he actually complimented me and it made my whole day better because I hadn't heard him say anything good about me like that in a long time. I had to hear him go on a rant about how the field of school I wanted to go into sucked and how most people don't make it. He says he's too busy to be involved in things important to me when I try to talk about it. I sort of had a bad day and was venting, which I feel bad about doing now as I didn't want to burden him with my problems when he has his own, but what really alarmed me was how he said you could just kill yourself. I understand the context and what he was trying to say. As I said, I have no control over things in my life like when I live or die. But as someone who has tried to kill themselves, it felt like a really jarring thing to say. I'm not sure what I should do. I don't know how to bring up his 180 in behavior, as I don't want to make a big deal if it's just the fact he doesn't have the energy to be romantic, but it's been affecting me negatively as it really feels like he's not interested at all. I've studied on different love languages to see if maybe ours are just different and have tried expressing my affection different, but I still see no change and it makes me feel kind of helpless. Does anyone have any advice on how I can bring this up to him, or if I'm just being too needy and should just wait it out? Sorry for the long read. This was my first post. Too long didn't read. Boyfriend has stopped being romantic or affectionate. I'm worried I'm just being needy or missing his signals, and I'm wondering if I should ask him about it or if I should just wait it out until things get easier for him at school. You don't need to be in a one-sided relationship. The fact that he isn't meeting your needs is a good enough reason to leave. It doesn't really matter if he's stressed or ghosting you or if he has a new girlfriend. It's clear that he's not a good boyfriend to you. If he's still your boyfriend at all, you have agency here. Use it. The "you could just kill yourself" comment is a little disheartening. To me, it seems like he is losing interest, if he hasn't lost it completely already, and he is pushing you farther and farther away until one day you're just going to feel like strangers. A relationship is not going to work if there isn't consistent effort coming from both sides, despite how busy each side may be. You deserve someone who genuinely cares about you and your passions/dreams, no matter how busy they are with their own life. If he cared, he would. I think you could stand to find someone who never makes you feel like a burden. You deserve it. Sis, drop him, throw the whole man far, far away. You deserve so much better. You could just kill yourself. Oh, fuck this guy. Eat him into the sun, and if he knows about your past attempt and said this shitty thing anyway, yeet with _extreme prejudice _ edit, and the fact that he said this regarding your talking about your problems _ after he had ranted about his problems, yeet double time. If he is coming into town and not seeing you, he isn't your boyfriend. Personally, I'd just ignore him and let him come to you. If he comes, he's yours. If he doesn't, he never was. Focus on your working out and hobbies, don't text him. Let him put in the effort. How to stop competing with fellow daughter-in-law. I, F31, am married to one of 3 brothers, let's call them Alex, Brad, and Chad. I'm married to Alex and we live in the same town as Brad and his wife and daughters. Chad and his new wife, F30, live across the country. We used to live in the same city as Chad and his wife and were all good friends. However, now that we've moved, we're much closer to my parents-in-law, and this has created a lot of tension with Chad's wife and myself. My Mill and I get along very well and hang out regularly, and it's very obvious that Chad's wife feels a great amount of FOMO and is very envious of that relationship. When she visits, there are a lot of attempts aimed directly at me to keep me at arm's length while she spends time with Mill. She's an only child who isn't used to sharing parental attention, and feels particularly invested in being my Mill's favorite. I used to think only I noticed this, but my husband's aunt made a comment about it the other day saying she's noticed it being pretty over the top on past family trips. My husband is very level-headed and says to just rise above this behavior and let Chad's wife do what she needs to do in order to feel good. But when someone is competitive with me, it makes me competitive too. Now Chad and his wife are looking seriously at moving to our town too, and I'm worried this competitive dynamic will be around all the time, and worst case, carry down to our future kids. Obviously we are linked together for life and used to be good friends, so I feel like there should be a path forward to be less competitive. Does anyone have any advice or similar experience? Weirdly, I don't feel this at all with Brad's wife, but I think it's because she and I are so different that there's no competing, whereas Chad's wife and I have much more in common. Too long didn't read. I essentially have a sibling rivalry with an especially competitive fellow daughter-in-law and I want to learn how to rise above it. Does Mill lay golden eggs? A jewel falls from her mouth each time she speaks. You call it competition, which has gritty, honorable connotations. But when the prize is someone's approval, it's just brown-nosing. If Mill turns her attention to the other daughter, let her. You have other loved ones. You don't need Mill, at least not to the point of debasing yourself with a pick-me dance. Honestly, just let her keep making a fool out of herself. If the aunt has noticed, Mill has also probably noticed. Just keep doing what you're doing and don't let her pettiness and dramatics get to you. My husband is very level-headed and says to just rise above this behavior and let Chad's wife do what she needs to do in order to feel good. He's right. If you need a competition aspect, make the competition who is the most mature. Let her progressively make a fool of herself while everyone else observes. Trust, they're noticing. In the meantime, go about your normal Mill relationship and set boundaries with Sil if ever necessary. Your Mill can figure out how to handle her clinginess herself. Agree with your husband. Also, start working with a therapist to address why you are going into compete mode by default. It's going to put you in a bad place. your husband is level-headed and right. The next excuse you offer, that you get competitive because someone else is well kind of ridiculous. Just what are you competing for? No really, is your Mill's attention the trophy, and why does such a weird trophy mean anything to you? Is it really your own version of need and subtle superiority and experience sharing resources, which you so quickly and easily explain for your Sill's behavior? The only thing you can alter is how you approach, frame, and then respond to the situation. I have the feeling that therapy would help you do that. Maybe with a whole therapist, but maybe at least starting with one of those fearless moral inventories and some real talk with that level-headed husband of yours. Girlfriend, 22F, bought me, 23M, a very expensive gift and I feel horrible. My girlfriend, 22F, bought me, 23M, an incredibly expensive gift and I feel horrible. I have been dating this girl for 2.5 years now, and we will probably settle down and marry within the coming years. She's my rock, and she's awesome. Recently I've been upgrading some computer parts, and the last one on my list was an incredibly expensive graphics card. She caught me off guard and told me she would buy it for me, and was adamant about getting it to the point where she was getting frustrated if I didn't pick the exact version I wanted. She wanted me to get exactly what I wanted, no shortcuts or workaround. Feel bad. This part was $500, and she works a minimum wage job. This part she bought me was 80 hours of her life, and I'm debating asking her to cancel it. She's not hurting financially, she's got a healthy savings account, but I still feel horrible knowing someone worked so hard to just say let me buy this for you. Is it normal to feel this way? Do I accept it or politely ask to cancel the order? Obviously I'm over the moon excited, but the last thing I want is to take her hard-earned money from her. I feel like she's always keeping me afloat emotionally, and that is more than enough of a gift to me as it is. I feel like I don't even do half as much for her as she does for me, and she is an incredible person. Too long didn't read. Girlfriend bought expensive computer part for me and I feel terrible because it's her very hard-earned money. Do I accept it or could I politely ask to cancel the order? Edit. Thank you to everyone providing insight. I'll have to try harder to keep my trap shut because she's definitely the type to try to do this again next year. As for those who say I should go to therapy, I agree completely. I actually have an appointment set up to return to it in October, so hopefully we can get over that low self-esteem hurdle. It helps to know an outside perspective, and I appreciate everyone taking the time to let me know gift receiving is part of the languages of love, as long as it's not being taken advantage of. If she really wants to buy you it, let her. Things will always come around and you will have an opportunity to buy her something she would like, and besides you sound like you're set on her being the one for you, thus is love, and gestures like this reinforce your care and love for one another. It's what keeps it real between both of you. Man, she loves you. This is one way she shows you she loves you. You would do the same for her, yeah? If she was hurting financially or was known to make bad money decisions, then I'd say have a conversation with her. But since she's not, there's no need to feel guilty. Feel you need to self-reflect and ask yourself why your views of yourself are so low that you feel you don't deserve this gift. You need to let her do this, and you also need to show an appropriate amount of gratitude. She wants you to have it, she wants to show you how much she loves you. Don't ruin it. Thank her, tell her you know how many hours it took her to save up for it. Tell her you feel loved. Don't turn a lovely gesture into an awkward situation. Thank you, I needed to hear this. I just always feel bad for her when she comes home from work because she wrapped up a 4-year degree and only was able to land the job she has now. I told her I wanted her help installing it so the PC can have a little touch of her, and she laughed and was all about it. Keep in mind that she wants to give you something that you truly would like to have. Unselfish, kind, loving and sincere. Be grateful and understand that this is a gift of love. She is a very special gal. Don't hurt her by rejecting her expression of love. Pay her back with kindness and appreciation for her being in your life. You are one lucky dude. Seems like you love her and value her and her hard work. I would be thankful and gracious. And maybe be cautious about talking about your wants in the future. Smile. Thank you. That last part is definitely good advice. I just feel guilty about it. Any recommendations on what I can do to thank her? I was thinking a surprise date or something similar. She's a bit of a foodie and loves trying new things.